before a lab is to read the lab. Because anytime you read it ahead of time, you're going to be more familiar with what you're doing when you get in the lab, and you're going to have less errors as you go through. So the lab is there for you to read this weekend because you're doing the lab on Monday. All right? So what's going to happen on Monday is you're going to pick a lab partner, and then you're going to not need goggles for this entire lab because you're not using chemicals. Okay, so you and your lab partner can come over here to Station 1, and at Station 1, there are 4 places. You could be here, 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 or here. So these are all the same station. So once you do one of them, you don't have to do any of the other ones over here. And what you're doing at Station 1 is learning how to use a balance. And you just follow the steps one at a time, and it'll have you go through a couple of different activities that show you the different features of the balance. Okay, the only thing you have to remember on these balances is that in the directions it talks about a tear button. Tear and 0 is the same button. Okay, and all the 0 button does is take whatever you put on the balance and make it 0 weight. Okay. And then you've got pennies, and you've got dishes, and you've got test tubes, so you're just going to weigh all those different things. All right? Any questions? All right, then you're going to come back here to Station 2. And we have Station 2 set up in 4 places. So you have 1, 2, 3, and 4, and these are all Station 2. One of the skills that you're going to need to use this year a lot is lighting the Bunsen burner. Okay, some of you are pyros and you can't wait to start fires, and some of you are afraid of matches and you don't want to get near the fire. One of the questions on the first test is come up and light the Bunsen burner. So whether you're the pyro or you're the one that's afraid of fire, you both have to practice this skill. Okay? At this table, it tells you that you have to wear goggles. In no other station in this lab do you have to wear goggles, but you do when you're dealing with the Bunsen burners. So you would go over to the cabinet, you get a pair of goggles, you do the station, and when you're done, instead of putting them back in the cabinet, like we always have you do, we're going to have you put them on the purple towel. And the reason for that is if everyone uses goggles for the whole lab, and then you all put your goggles back and we clean them for the next class. But for this lab, after you wear your goggles, if you put them back in, somebody else could wear the same goggles without us cleaning them, and that's not a good thing. All right, so for this lab only, you're going to put them on that tray. All right, so what you're going to do here is you have a Bunsen burner, and the Bunsen burner has a tube on it. So you take the tube and you put it on the metal thing that's on each table. The port where you put the tube in is perpendicular to the gas lever. That means it's off. And it doesn't matter if it's this way or if it's this way. So this is completely off and that's completely off. It's on when they're parallel. So if the handle is like this, the gas is off. If the handle is like this, the gas is on. So you need the gas on in order to be able to light it. So you turn your gas on, you pick up your Bunsen burner. It's not hot, you can hold it and you're not going to get burned. You want to close the windows at the bottom of the Bunsen burner. And then you take your striker. And if you're right-handed, if you're left-handed, everything's opposite, but you're kind of used to that. So if you're right-handed, you take the striker, grab it at the bottom. You take your other hand and you put your thumb on top of the striker, not on the side. If you put it on the side, this is what happens. Nothing. If you put it on top, as you go across, you can be pressing in, which is putting some pressure on it, and this is what you get. Sparks. And then the sparks are what lights the fire. So then once you've got some good spark going, then you put the striker right over the top of the burner, and you push it over, and it will light the Bunsen burner. And then you can use the windows to adjust the flame. And the directions are all here. And this is kind of an area that I hang around during this lab to help you make sure you understand how to do this. Okay, so this is Station 2. Station 3 is over here, and it's the thermometer station. And it's another measurement that you take a lot this year, is figuring out the temperature of what's going on in your lab So we have 3 different types of thermometers here that you're going to look at and just see how they're alike and how they're different. Okay, so this is a pretty easy station, but there's only 2, not 4 like the other ones. All right, over here, that's station 4. Station 4 is the volume station, and we have 2 tables set up, so again, you have 4 setups. So you're really only doing 4 different things in the lab in a class period, so you shouldn't have any problems finishing it in one class period. But what you're going to do is you're going to look at different containers that measure volume, and then you're going to compare how they're alike and how they're different. And then you're going to read some volume. So you're going to read the volume in the burette, you're going to read the volume in the cylinder, and you're going to read the volume in the beaker. Now, when liquids or solutions are in glass, they make a smile at the top. And because a smile has like a top and a bottom, you have to decide where you're going to make your reading at. So we always read at the bottom of the smile, which is called a meniscus. Okay, so when you come over here, you'll see that smile at the top of the liquid. The other thing about reading a volume is you have to be eye level. So you have to bend down, or you have to bend way down, so that you're eye level with whatever you're trying to read. Because if you read it down here like this, it's a very different result than if you read across. Okay, does anybody have any questions on how this is going to work? Okay.
And then station 5's the video?
Oh, that's online.
Yeah, okay.
So I guess I never mentioned that in my other classes yesterday.
Maybe mention it for the video.
Okay, are you still recording?
Yeah.
Okay. And then there's the station 5. And station 5 is just learning the names of a bunch of different pieces of equipment. And last year what we did is we taped Ms. Kitzman going through all the different pieces of equipment and just holding them up and saying, this is a graduated cylinder. And cylinders, you know, measure volume. And so that's all in your folder. So in that resource folder, in the assignment folder, inside the use of equipment folder, there's one that's called lab pictures and then lab video. So then you're going to watch that lab video to fill in the blanks on the lab picture. And then you're responsible for everything in the lab pictures, meaning all the lab equipment, for the first test.
Yay!